This is televangelist Kim Clement. He died back in November 2016, right after Trump was elected, and he's really well known in QAnon circles for having prophesied Trump's election victory. In reality, it was no more than a flip of a coin. He didn't get much more specific than claiming Trump was going to win, and then describing some specific personality traits about him, like the fact that he has hot blood. Presumably that means he has a short fuse. That's obviously something he could have picked up just from listening to Trump's media appearances. Anyways, Kim Clement's daughter made an appearance on a QAnon Facebook page called the Elijah List. This Facebook page literally thinks Trump is the Son of Man, which is what they called the Messiah in the Old Testament. So they get Kim Clement's daughter on to show clips of him supposedly prophesying other stuff. It's absolutely absurd from beginning to end, but deeply entertaining to watch, in my opinion. This is part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, don't sweat it. This stands independently of the rest. I'll provide context if it's missing. Kim Clement's daughter is about to play a clip of him talking about a Malaysian airplane that disappeared back in 2014, and he's going to claim that God is going to prevent it from being used for nefarious purposes. Powerful prophecy, right? Let's watch.
To take the youth and cause them to do what you assume has been done with this jet. This is just the beginning, says the Lord.
I assume he's talking about the Malaysian Airlines jet that went missing back then. I remember I was in Florida. I was doing laundry when I heard about it at a laundromat with Alpha Force Zero. We were sitting there listening to it on the TV in the laundromat. And there's a little carnival. It's like a 24/7 carnival that was across the street. And we went over to that carnival afterward and hung out. In fact, I have pictures from that. Now that I think about it. Hold on. Give me a second. Let me find those pictures. I have them here. Just a second. Here we go. These are pictures from when the Malaysian Airlines jet was going down or whatever, from this moment. This is Alpha Force Zero on a whatchamahoosit. And this is her on a thingamajigger. Now, this is a carousel. Yeah, carousel at the carnival right across the street. She got this little stuffed thing here. Aren't those cheeks so cute? You just want to pinch them clean off her face. And we're in a little roller coaster together here. And she's afraid of the roller coaster. And here's the Flying Bobs. This is one of those little rides there. Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. Anyway, that's what was happening at the Malaysian Airlines thing at the time. Okay, let's keep listening.
They will train pilots and have trained pilots to plunge, to attack, to steal, and then to crawl into Israel and destroy my people.
Wow, that's really interesting. So he claimed about the Malaysian Airlines jet that... So here's the thing about the Malaysian Airlines jet. If you guys don't remember what happened, it just disappeared. This Malaysian Airlines jet disappeared right out of the air. They never found any wreckage or debris. They never got any ransoms. It never turned up on black markets. Nothing. The people and the airplane just disappeared from existence right in the middle of the air. It was super confusing. So naturally, lots of governments and people who were well informed on these subjects speculated it's likely that this Malaysian Airlines jet was taken by hijackers and landed safely, so it could be used later for a terrorist attack. That was the assumption, and I feel it was a fair assumption at the time. Now I think it's probably safe to assume that it was not taken by terrorists. It just fell out of the sky. You know, there's an engine failure or something over the water, and it couldn't maintain altitude, and it just plunged into the ocean. That's my guess, because it never turned up. Nothing ever happened. Debris did wash ashore. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, MH17. No, MH17 is a different thing, I think. Wait, are we talking about two different... Okay, so there are two different instances. I totally forgot about this. There's one Malaysian flight that was shot down by Russia. And then there's another Malaysian flight that just disappeared into the ether. I'm assuming he's talking about the one that just disappeared from existence, stopped sending the pings that the black box sends every 20 minutes or something, because that one was like really, really mysterious, and everybody was talking about it and didn't know what happened and was super curious and blah, blah, blah. We knew what happened to the Russian one. MH17, and I think the other was MH3 something or other. I don't remember. So anyways, I guess we found out that debris washed up on shore. Now we know, apparently, but I'm assuming he was talking about the one that disappeared. Anyway, let's keep listening here.
This shall not happen, says the Lord. For once again, I will show you I am the God of the earth. I am the Lord of the universe.
It's really actually...
This won't happen again. So I guess he's saying the Malaysian Airlines flight was stolen by terrorists and is going to be used against Israel. Of course, that never happened. That was completely made up, obviously, now. I can't believe she's even playing that. It's so obvious. So that's what he said, that it was going to be used against Israel. And now they're going to find some way that it was real after all.
A good news prophecy, because he tells you all the evil they intend, and then he says, this shall not happen. I'm going, yeah.
No, I think he said this shall not happen again. So I think he said that this is going to happen, and it would be the last time that it happens, right? That was my interpretation. But it never happened, so they're going to find some explanation. That's their explanation. Let me just step back. Listen to what he said one more time here. Did he say again?
And then to crawl into Israel and destroy my people. This shall not happen, says the Lord. For once again, I will show you I am the God of the earth.
Oh, okay, I see. No, I guess he did say this isn't going to happen. So he listed a whole bunch of shit that would be really terrible and ridiculous. Terrorists were going to hijack this plane that just mysteriously went missing, and they were going to use it against Israel. But it's not actually going to happen. Telling me what's not going to happen is not a prophecy. I'm sorry.
I am the Lord of the universe.
It's really actually a good news prophecy, because he tells you all the evil they intend, and then he says, this shall not happen. I'm going, yes. You know, I love to hear that.
Just absurd, dude. Absolutely absurd.
Plans of the enemies through his prophets, and in this case, my father being the prophet, in advance. So that when we come to the moment we're in right now, we know what to do. This is the purpose of it. So it's not just, again, this is showing that prophecy is not just about, shocking people or wow, or, that's interesting. It has a purpose. God, it has a purpose in it. And so, and what's interesting is he was seeing ISIS, yes, but he was also seeing a sort of bigger terrorist organization thing going on here, which is, I don't think we should assume Muslim.
Yeah. Well, because Taliban is more Muslim than anything. So he said it's not related. It's not like
related to the Taliban, which is ISIS. But
right.
Taliban is ISIS? Is that what she just said? No. The Taliban and ISIS are completely different from each other. I mean, they have similar ideologies. They are not the same. In fact, I don't even think they like each other, do they? I don't remember now. It's been a while.
If we look and analyze again, could there be more to it? And so...
Ugh, what a joke, dude.
Play the next clip, because then we'll be able to talk about why I think it's related to the World Economic Forum.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, God. World Economic Forum. This is a conspiracy theory that's long and complex. I have a feeling I'm going to have to explain it in a minute. But, yeah, let's keep listening and see.
Go with that.
Yeah.
For the Spirit of God says, I will surprise you and show you. For as I raised my prophetic voice above the northwest of India, it was because of mischievousness, anger, and grief.
Okay, I think it's mischievous, but okay, mischievous works, I suppose.
A new territorial spirit has arisen and has fouled the nations of the earth, has fooled the nations of the earth. And God said it will continue. And they shall say, this has given us an idea. Steel jets. And your intelligence says it shall never happen since we have implemented the security since 2011. Ha! And what you have done, says the Lord, is you have ignored your reliance upon the King of life itself, the Lord your God. Now you're at my mercy, says the Lord. Search as much as you wish, for it shall come to pass that I will expose for Russia.
Oh, God. Okay. I thought he was going to expose himself or his mom or something. I was worried for a minute when he said that.
Has joined its hands to Iran, Syria.
Okay, it's pronounced Iran.
And is gathering as many nations as possible to come and strike the Jews and to strike at this Christian nation and call.
Oh, wow. Okay, and this is being taken as prophecy. Russia is gathering as many friends as they can, Iran, Syria, and others, to strike at Israel. That's because a lot of Christian evangelical types, including Jehovah's Witnesses, interestingly enough, think that Russia is some special prophetic area, land area, or government that's going to attack Israel, basically. There is no reason to think they're going to attack Israel. Israel has nukes just like Russia does. It would not end well if they did. There would be a land war between... It would be a world war if they did that, and they know that. They're not idiots in Russia. They know better than to do that. But anyways, Russia allying themselves with Iran and Syria and others is not new or surprising. This is how they've always operated. These are the friends that they have fostered in the world.
Cause you to be crippled, says the Lord. Therefore, would you like an answer? I'll show you. I told you within 48 hours. Now it is emerging. Now I will show you. And then God says, as they creep nearer, I will expose them and destroy them beneath the sea, on top of the sea, on the land, and in the air, says the Lord.
Wow. And Donnie, do you know what he means by the northwest of India? Do you have some thoughts?
This is the part that I've never quite gotten, but he saw something there that's...
No, it's meaningless. It's all completely and totally meaningless. See, this is how his supposed prophecy scam works. Always has worked. He says a bunch of really vague stuff that could or could not mean this or that or any number of other things. And when something looks like it might vaguely possibly fit it, he spreads that idea. Or now, I guess, his family spreads the idea that that's what he meant all along. It's a scam. Always was a scam.
Fueling things. But he also saw, and I've been...
Oh my God. I'm sorry, guy. I am screwing the pooch on this. Let me just try to... Hold on. How many fairies do I have? Do I have any? I do. I have 3. Okay. This is actually a lot harder than it looks to deflect. The fact that I got 3 deflects back to back like that earlier was deeply impressive in my opinion. See? What I'm telling you? It's hard. It's really difficult. Let me try again. There we go. All right. Let me just not talk for a second so I can get this. See what I mean? I'm going to eat up all of my food trying to do this. There we go. Damn it. It didn't work. Because it hit his leg, apparently. That sucks. I mean, I can kill him the traditional way, but it's such a waste of resources. Here we go. One more. There it is. It's really hard to get that just right. You'd be surprised. I'm pretty good at it, but every now and then, especially when I'm trying to talk, it throws me off. It's really difficult sometimes. Anyway. All right, let's keep listening.
Taking notes. He also saw a new territorial spirit.
Yeah, he did.
Found the nations of the earth and fooled the nations of the earth. That is the World Economic Forum in my view. Because
okay, hang on. Let me just step back a little bit and see what she said about the WEF, because I really want to understand what her point is here. And I think it's probably appropriate at this moment to explain what the WEF is and what the conspiracy is all about. So if you've heard this before, you already know, skip forward about 8 minutes. I think the video is 8 minutes long, this clip that I'm about to play for you. The video is actually 10 minutes and 33 seconds long. So from this point forward, move 10 minutes ahead. 10 minutes, 30 seconds, if you've already heard this. Let's just read through. This is a BBC article on what the Great Reset is. This is the title, What is the Great Reset and How Did It Get Hijacked by Conspiracy Theories? A vague set of proposals from an influential organization has been transformed by online conspiracy theorists into a powerful viral rallying cry. What is the truth behind the Great Reset? Believers spin dark tales about an authoritarian socialist world government run by powerful capitalists and politicians, a secret cabal that is broadcasting its plan around the world. Despite all the contradictions in the last sentence, thousands online have latched on to this latest reimagining of an old conspiracy theory, updated for the age of COVID. Yeah, the Great Reset conspiracy really came straight out of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. This old book I've mentioned before multiple times, written by anti-Semitic people, that basically described the Jews' plan for world domination. It was completely made up then, and it's made up now. Anyway, let's keep reading this. Where did it begin? Like many popular conspiracy theories, this one starts with a grain of fact. In June 2020, so 5 months after COVID really came to the shores of the U.S. and the world started taking it seriously, June 2020, the Prince of Wales and the head of the annual Davos Summit launched an initiative calling for the pandemic to be seen as a chance for what they called a great reset of the global economy. A flashy launch video interspersed images of a world in chaos, a dead killer whale, a hurricane, a kangaroo caught in a fire, with a speech by Prince Charles. We have an incredible opportunity to create an entirely new sustainable industries, the prince said. The time to act is now. Now, as I'm sure you've surmised at this point, the Great Reset is a massive conspiracy theory that encompasses nearly everything, but doesn't really have any details. It's weird how it all formed out, but think about this. Who serves to gain from the conspiracy theory that we have to prevent economies from serving the workers? The original plan that was being outlined at the Davos Summit, when it says calling for the pandemic to be seen as a chance to reset the global economy, they were saying reset it to be more amicable and fair and more equitable to workers. Serve workers' rights. Who serves to gain from spreading this conspiracy theory, really? You can't convince me that billionaires around the world were not involved in turning this into a conspiracy theory. You can't convince me. The other founder of the initiative is Professor Klaus Schwab, head of the World Economic Forum, which organizes an annual summit in a Swiss ski resort for some of the world's wealthiest and most powerful people. He explained the idea behind the Great Reset in an article accompanying the launch. The pandemic represents a rare but narrow window of opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and reset our world to create a healthier, more equitable, and more prosperous future. Who do you think had an investment in making this fall apart and turn into a conspiracy theory? Who do we know that is opposed to making things more fair and equitable and healthier? And suddenly, out of nowhere, it just explodes, and every conspiracy theorist in the world buys into this Great Reset thing. There's a Great Reset podcast and even a 280-page book, but the plan is light on specific detail. Professor Schwab does speak about a wealth tax and ending fossil fuel subsidies. Interesting. Who would be opposed to those things, I wonder? But the scope is huge, covering technology, climate change, the future of work, international security, and other themes, and it's difficult to see precisely what the Great Reset might mean in practice. This lack of clarity, combined with the plan being launched by an influential organization, provided fertile ground for conspiracy theories to grow. This is Klaus Schwab right here. A conspiracy theory is born. The proposals, along with the WEF itself, face legitimate criticism from a variety of sources. Conservative political figures and media outlets accuse the organization of pushing for environmental policies that would hurt the economy. Weird, huh? So it sounds like the Great Reset was intended to improve environmental policies, to make the world more equitable and fair for the worker. What were some of the other things they listed here? Create a wealth tax, work on technology, work on climate change, work on privacy rights, a whole bunch of other stuff. Such a weird... Who created this conspiracy, I wonder? What group of people would be opposed to these things? This is so weird. We'll never know. We'll never know who was opposed to this. What group of people could have started this conspiracy theory? It's just a mystery. There are questions about whether unelected individuals like Mr. Schwab should have the power to lobby so prominently for ideas that could potentially transform the global economy. Okay, well, he's unelected, but he's free to voice his interests and concerns. Everybody is. That's the nature of democracy. The Davos meeting is certainly filled with powerful people who have a huge influence on world events. There are also concerns about the impact of technology on civil liberties and jobs. But the real energy online is not about legitimate political questions, discussions about fossil fuels and income inequality, but in the shape of wild and unsubstantiated claims. The term Great Reset has received more than 8 million interactions on Facebook and been shared almost 2 million times on Twitter since the initiative was launched, according to BBC monitoring research. Number of Great Reset posts on Facebook, posts using keywords between June 2020 and May 2021. Among the most popular posts are baseless statements that the Great Reset is a strategic part of a grand conspiracy by the global elite who somehow planned and managed the COVID-19 pandemic. In this narrative, lockdown restrictions were introduced not to curb the spread of the virus, but to deliberately bring about economic collapse and a socialist world government, albeit run for the benefit of powerful capitalists. So there's mention of the Great Reset when the plan comes out, June 2020. And then Justin Trudeau released a viral video about, the Great Reset, and it just exploded in the number of posts online about it. The number of posts on Facebook. Interesting, right? And then conspiracy theorists started coming up with all kinds of crazy ideas. In this narrative about the COVID-19 pandemic, lockdown restrictions were introduced not to curb the spread of the virus, but to deliberately bring about economic collapse and a socialist world government, albeit run for the benefit of powerful capitalists. The nebulousness of this conspiracy theory means it's found followers among anti-vax activists, anti-lockdown campaigners, New Age healers, and those on the far right and the far left. J.P. Sears he used to be kind of funny, but now he's a complete nutcase. And he's got like millions of subbies, I think. It's the guy in the middle of this picture right here. You'll own nothing and be happy, the Great Reset. Now look, Franklin Graham, televangelist, even got in on the action. How did it go viral? These conspiracy theories began circulating online around June 2020, but only gained significant traction later in the year. On November 15th, the phrase started trending on Twitter when a video went viral showing Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau at a UN meeting in September, saying the pandemic provided an opportunity for a reset. It's unclear whether he's referring to the WEF plan. But some claimed his speech was proof that global leaders were using the pandemic as a pretext to introduce a range of socialist and environmental policies. Thousands of Trump supporters boosted this idea. They claimed that a victory for Mr. Trump in November's election was the only chance to thwart the so-called secret plot. They called it Agenda 2022, I think. Agenda 2022 or Agenda 2020, something like that. And the idea was they wanted to have... Or maybe it was Agenda 2023. I don't remember now. The idea was that they wanted to have the Great Reset fully implemented and a one world government implemented by 2023. But no, it was 2020. And Trump getting elected in 2016 thwarted that plan and pushed it off, and now it's Agenda 2030. It just completely made up, all of it. It's all entirely fabricated out of the ether. So that is the Great Reset. I hear you asking, but what is it? And the answer is nobody knows. I still don't know what it is. Nonsense, that's what. It incorporates every conspiracy theory known to man, lizard people and socialism and one world government, all of it. It's insane. So yeah, it was picked up by QAnon and basically everybody out. Every conspiracy theory of every variety. QAnoners, anti-vaxxers, anti-lockdown campaigners, New Age healers, people on the far right, people on the far left. Like it's just widespread is the point. Here are some other points that have kind of been worked into the conspiracy. The pandemic was created by the elites. Microchips will be injected into people that alter people's DNA and act as like your credit card, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So yeah, it borrows ideas from like a ton of conspiracy theories from the 18th and 19th centuries. It's just nuts, dude. It's just nuts, all of it. Thanks, past me. So yeah, that's the Great Reset. That's the WEF. That's what all of that's about. The World Economic Forum is a big think tank that's like registered with the United Nations as an NGO, right? And generally, the WEF, it's run by a guy named Klaus Schwab. The WEF basically helps rich people, ultra rich, like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, not so much anymore, but he used to be a part of it. You know, Jeff Bezos and other philanthropists. It helps them direct their money to where it'll be the most useful. So, like, if the WEF sees that there's a polio outbreak in Rwanda, then they will get all of the rich people together in a room and they'll say, okay, we need $50 million to produce these polio vaccines that will help alleviate this, this polio outbreak in this area. And all these rich people will split it halfway with each other, and they'll pay to have these polio vaccines like delivered. It's actually really, really good. Back in 2020, when the COVID pandemic officially hit, the WEF made an announcement. This is an opportunity for us to kind of reset the global economies to be more favorable to the working class and, be less taken over by the rich, which is a fantastic thing, right? Oh my God, yes, we need a great reset. I love it. But then, out of nowhere, a conspiracy theory formed that, they're trying to control all of these small countries in these nefarious ways and stuff. It was just bizarre. It was just conspiracy theory nonsense that came about. It's kind of weird to me that an organization says, hey, we should try to make these world economies more equitable, and then a conspiracy theory about, trying to control the world appears. Weird, right? Who would have a vested interest in creating a conspiracy theory like that? I couldn't even guess. So strange. So anyways, that's generally what the Great Reset conspiracy theory is. It's light on details. There's basically no formed out plan or no formed out idea of what this conspiracy theory is. It's just a conspiracy theory that Klaus Schwab is trying to control the world. That's basically it. And any other WEF actors. So let's keep listening to what she had to say here.
But he also saw, and I've been taking notes, he also saw a new territorial spirit.
Yeah, he did.
Fouled the nations of the earth and fooled the nations of the earth. That is the World Economic Forum in my view, because my dad prophesied the Fourth Reich, a rise of a Fourth Reich. And you look at Klaus Schwab and them, you see what they're doing. And
they're doing nothing but helping the world. They're helping rich people find philanthropic investments. That's it. That's what they're doing. They're honestly doing fantastic work. But when QAnon comes into the picture, you know, the group of people who absolutely fucking hates vaccines and is obsessed with how evil vaccines are, yeah, those guys, you know a conspiracy theory is right behind.
This is him again seeing a glimpse of that as well. But obviously, being it so long ago, he would not have had a point of reference to know what to call it always, you know.
Yeah.
But he could describe the glimpses that God was giving him. And this was, God allowed him to see as much as he needed to see. So he only allows glimpses because there is something required of us. Otherwise, we could just sit back and wait, you know. And that's not what life is about. God needs us doing and creating. It's part of being a human being. And especially as a Christian, you work towards destiny. There's a purpose, and we understand that. And so,
okay, I don't know what that means exactly, but all right, continue.
So anyway, he was seeing this new territorial spirit, and then also Russia joining its hands with Iran. And we see
Iran.
a lot of this going on. You know, everybody's talking about Gog and Magog, and we're looking at Russia and who they're allied.
Right. So in the Bible, Gog was what do you call Gog was a person. Magog was a land area, and a lot of evangelicals believe that Magog was Russia. I have no reason to even believe that Magog was a land area. It's not clearly explained in the Bible. It's not like defined, you know, without a shadow of a doubt. It's not obvious. They're just assuming. They're making baseless assumptions.
Allying themselves with. And they did just buy our weapons that Biden left in Afghanistan. Russia has just bought from.
Okay, that's completely made up. She has no idea what she's talking about. First of all. And second, we did leave some weapons in Afghanistan. We destroyed them. It was cheaper to destroy them and leave them there than to take them back, basically. There's no point in taking them back in the first place. We didn't need them. They were outdated and useless. And as a matter of fact, that happens a lot. You know, we leave weapons behind all the time because that's the best and most convenient way to deal with some of these weapons. Just make sure you destroy them before you leave, that's all. So they're not usable. Also, those people don't have training manuals or support to learn how to use it. There's actually a video out there of a member of the Taliban getting his hands on an Apache helicopter and trying to fly it and having no fucking clue what he is doing. It's actually kind of funny. Hang on. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, I guess it was a Black Hawk helicopter, not an Apache. All right, check this out. Let's see if this is it. Yeah. This is it. He had no idea what he was doing. And this is what happened. Even if you don't destroy the equipment, they have no fucking clue how to use it. It's not just the Taliban. These pieces of equipment are very, very complex. You need the manuals to this. You need the subscription services that they build for this and stuff. This is not easy. Okay? This isn't something that, oh, we left, 300 tanks out there and you can just pick one up and fucking take it home and drive it. No. Not with American equipment. That's not how this works at all. So, anyway. Yeah, they're just full of shit. They have no idea what they're talking about.
The Taliban. So there's all of that going on. So now they actually have our weapons. So then
No, they don't. They don't have our weapons. This is a claim that's made a lot by the right. As a matter of fact, Michelle Bachmann made this exact claim a while back, too. It's just nonsense. Complete nonsense, all of it. If you don't know Michelle Bachmann, I think she was the congressman from Minnesota or Iowa? Minnesota, I think. And being a congressman, she should know better than to make claims like this. Listen to this. This one is from late September 2021.
We're talking billions and billions of dollars. Now, again, a foreign terrorist organization. Therefore, under American law, we are prohibited from giving any money or materials or weaponry to the Taliban.
Okay, that's not exactly accurate. I believe the rule is American companies are forbidden from selling anything to, terrorist organizations. That doesn't say what the U.S. government's allowed to do, but okay.
We gave them $90 billion worth of weaponry, ammunition, the finest military equipment the world has ever seen, including more helicopters than all of Australia has.
Okay, that's complete nonsense, first of all. And second, we saw what happens when they try to fly our helicopters, right? It doesn't go well. They have no idea what they're doing with them. You have to be trained on this stuff. It does not work out when they try to fly American equipment without training. Again, this is not because they're Middle Eastern and don't understand how this stuff works. No government, like China, couldn't come in and fly our helicopters. This is what would happen if China tried this, or Russia, or anybody. Or hell, this is what would happen if Poland tried to fly our helicopters or whatever without training. You need training on this stuff. It's not easy. You know how fucking complex these systems are? Holy shit, dude. They have software that you put it in, you put your helmet on, the gun on it tracks with your head. It's very, very complex software, okay? This is not your 1950s fucking tank. This is real shit. So finish listening to Michelle Bachmann talk shit about us giving the Taliban helicopters and shit. She has, a U.S. congressman, okay? She should know better. I'm tempted to say she does know better. She's just lying here, but I don't know that.
Including more helicopters than all of Australia has. That's how gargantuan this stockpile is. I think it's 5 rifles for every Afghan.
Well,
it's unbelievable.
If I can interject here, I do believe this weaponry will turn up in the Gog and Magog war, Ezekiel 38-39. You read there about the weapons on the mountains of Israel. Some of this is the almost $90 billion in weaponry we left behind, folks. And the Israelis are going to burn some of this weaponry for 7 years, which is the length of the tribulation. So again, folks, apocalyptic things are happening. And when I say that, I don't mean to say that to sound sensational. I'm saying they leap out of the Bible.
Yeah, she is saying it to sound sensational. She has no fucking clue what she's talking about right now. God, I can't believe I ran underneath that thing. I was trying to run between his legs, but it wasn't letting me, so I tried to go the other direction. Anyway. She has no idea what she's talking about. None.
That's what's happening here.
I had called you right after that happened. Yes, you did. And I said, I think that this may be a possibility that these $90 billion will be used for the Ezekiel 38-39 purpose.
So that is the problem with these people. I mean, she's basically espousing the exact same thing that Donna Clement, I don't even know how to pronounce her name still to this moment. Anyway, she's espousing the exact same thing that this woman was espousing earlier. The idea that Russia is Magog, and they took all of our weaponry in Afghanistan, despite the fact that we disabled the weaponry. It's not usable, even if they did have training. They have no idea what they're talking about.
Of conservatives right now who are hearing Putin saying the right things. And this reminds me of my dad prophesying Putin, get out of my way. And I don't have that to share with you now, but when my dad prophesied it, he was angry and he was shouting and he was saying, Putin, get out of my way. He also said, I have hardened your heart, King Putin.
Wow.
As I did Pharaoh, I've hardened your heart. So there's...
Dude, what a messed up thing for God to do, right? Harden somebody's heart so that they don't just do what they're supposed to do. He is intentionally making them do something bad because he wants them to. What the fuck is wrong with God to do such a thing?
There's a lot more to that, and we cannot trust it. And again, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I cannot stress it enough. Is that you've got Russia with their plan over there, him and Dugan. And I said this to General Flynn a year ago.
Okay, he's not a general. Michael Flynn was removed from the military, charged, convicted, and sentenced for basically what I consider to be a treasonous act. I explained it earlier. He undermined the authority of the president by communicating with Russia directly when he was not supposed to be doing that, and gave Russia the upper hand in negotiations against the United States. And again, he was sentenced for this to a prison sentence. And then he was pardoned by Donald Trump, who benefited from this whole thing. So, yeah, he's not a general. He's a traitor, as far as I'm concerned. But that's neither here nor there.
Is that Dugan is Putin's Rasputin.
Oh, wow.
Okay, that makes no sense. I don't know what that means even.
Now, if you remember the Tsars and the way the Tsars ended with the Russia and the way that
Yeah, I don't remember the Tsars, and nobody remembers the Tsars. This is like 100 years ago, but okay.
family was murdered. They had that prophet that was there with them, Rasputin, and you can look that up. But that's what God told me, and I shared it with General Flynn and a few.
No, he didn't. This is completely made up. He didn't share anything with you because you're not in communication with God.
Few other people at the time. And if you look around, I think even Glenn Beck today, if you go search him on YouTube, he has a video where he warns you about Dugin and Dugin's philosophy because it's very dangerous and it's influencing Putin, who is not sane. This is not
and Danae, when you say the enemy of my
Donay, I think that's the first time I've heard her name spoken. Donay.
Enemy is my friends, which I'm very familiar with that. Who are you calling the friends now? Who are the friends that you're referring to?
This is where it gets difficult. Like for instance, with Russia and China.
Yeah. Okay.
Is my friend.
Okay.
Even with the Muslim countries, not so much that because Russia really deals with them a lot, but definitely Russia and China weren't historically friends.
Yeah.
Now, I remember last year, there was some kind of banquet table, and there was Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping, and they're feeding each other.
Okay, feeding each other like in a sensual way, like they're enjoying each other's company and rubbing grapes on each other's lips. Is that what we're talking right now? I don't remember that. Sounds hot though. I should look that up.
Feeding each other?
Feeding each other. It was the most ridiculous. It was on the news. It was a news thing, so it wasn't some video. It was a real.
Oh god, it wasn't some video. Are we sure? Because those some videos, quote unquote, that she's referring to, oftentimes are modeled to look like a news report when they're simply not. What is she talking about? Xi Jinping feeding Vladimir Putin and vice versa in a sensual way? Okay.
Real video. And they were at some event, and there they were together, and they were feeding each other. And also notice that right after we pulled out of Afghanistan, the way Biden did, I think it was 2 weeks before. If you go back and look, both Russia and China met with the Taliban. So they were ready, and the
U.S. meets with the Taliban all the time, or they used to meet with the Taliban. Not to send them arms or anything necessarily, but, they were trying to gain access to things that the U.S. controlled at that moment, and sometimes we had to meet with some of them. Like, that's how it works sometimes. So, okay. I mean, yeah, they were historic leaders in certain regions that were being occupied by Russia, China, and the United States at various points. It doesn't surprise me that they were meeting with them.
They'll be quite happy to work together to take America down, but they both have their own ends.
Right.
With that. And so I've been looking through Dad's prophecies, and I do remember him prophesying that Iran and North Korea would butt heads. So we definitely have never seen that happen.
No. Why would Iran and North Korea fight with each other? They are both outcasts and need to support each other. They're both dictatorships and deeply disturbing regimes. I cannot imagine Iran and North Korea butting heads, but okay, maybe I'll be wrong. We'll see, I guess.
No, not yet. No.
Thing for him to see, but obviously North Korea would ally with them, and you might end up coming up with some problems along the road. So this is further stuff. So you see, these prophecies are much more than just, he prophesied one thing. No, he was looking into the future and seeing things and telling us the things down the path.
He absolutely was not. He was not looking into the future. I can tell you this. The point of, she's drawing your attention to the fact that he prophesied a whole bunch of different stuff simultaneously throughout the years. Like, he did this all the time. He prophesied constantly, right? Obviously, the reason for that is because the more prophecies you make, the more chances you have to be correct about some things. Yeah, of course he prophesied constantly. It's called the Texas sharpshooter fallacy. You ignore the misses and you focus in on the hits. Now that I have this shields, This shield cannot be destroyed easily. It has to get hit by these lasers like 16,000 times before it gets destroyed. So now I'm a lot more comfortable deflecting these blasts. I don't have to worry about the shield being destroyed. That's why I'm comfortable talking while I do the deflections, because I don't worry about destroying it now. Anyways, the whole thing is absolutely absurd. Texas sharpshooter fallacy. We're witnessing it with our own eyes right now.
Danae, there was
Donay. I'm trying to remember that's how her name is pronounced. I've never heard that name before. Oh my God. Now, I drew attention to the fact that I was deflecting blasts really well, and now I suck again. Anyways, I wonder where she's from originally, like where her family is from. Pretty interesting first and last name.
He mentioned Estonia, but there's a different prophecy. It wasn't that one, although that was close to it, but there was another prophecy that he gave where he mentioned Estonia, and it was like this. I'm paraphrasing the idea that I heard. The idea was Putin, your mistake is to come against Estonia. And, it was like God was saying, when you do that, maybe one day you'll be able to find that one. Those things I'm sure are pretty hard to find because they're not all transcribed. But there was a warning about what will happen to you when you come against Estonia or something like that. So if I understood the prophecy right.
And I think you are. And I think there is something about Estonia because of the way also when he prophesied that he just shouted it out. He was listing the other countries and then he shouted, Estonia, you will be the one to rattle Putin.
And so nothing happens with Estonia. It's a dead end. It's a false prophecy. And they keep trying to read into it to figure out how it could possibly be real. Guess what, people? It's fake. It was fake all along. You were lied to. You ever consider that one?
Yeah. I was like,
I do know of Estonia that technologically they're quite advanced as far as computer stuff. I'm not sure.
That's true, actually. You'd be surprised. Estonia is actually like nearly a first world country at this point. Very, very advanced. Although I believe that they're in the middle of a civil war at the moment. Wait, is Estonia a NATO member and not in war? Am I thinking of a different place? I'm sorry. Maybe I was thinking of what's the other E one that's out there? That's in a civil war right now. There's one that's in a civil war. Starts with E. Anybody got any idea? I'm trying to remember here. Is it Ethiopia? It's not Ecuador. It could be Ethiopia. Not Eritrea. Let me look this up. Ethiopia. Hang on. Give me a second. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was Ethiopia I was thinking. My mistake. It was Ethiopia. They're in a civil war, and they're pretty technologically advanced. Estonia, I don't know about. I could be completely off base, so don't take my word for that with Estonia. Estonia is right above Latvia, okay? Above Belarus, Lithuania, and Latvia. Where is... Yeah, so, and Ethiopia is in Africa, so they are totally different countries. Ethiopia is north of Somalia, south of Eritrea, if that gives you any context. If you're looking at Africa, Ethiopia is on the far right of the African continent, basically. Really, really close geographically to Saudi Arabia. It's like just south of Saudi Arabia, but there's the Red Sea in between them. Estonia, on the other hand, is south of Finland, north of Latvia. It looks like it's kind of on the European continent. It's north of Belarus, if you were wondering.
There's something there going on with that. But I know that is one of the regions that Putin would, were he to conquer Ukraine, would continue to try to get a hold of that and expand, because that would ultimately be his goal. And so I am very, very cautious, even though I listened to Putin's speech.
Yeah.
It's sort of a seemingly good speech because he's saying the right things, but it was just like a serpent speaking.
Wow. Like most of the right likes Putin. I'm actually surprised that she's speaking negatively about him.
Look at what they've done. And we are not going to do that. And God save them. And then he's quoting from the Bible. And
really?
It felt blasphemous to me. It didn't feel genuine. It didn't feel like from the heart.
Somebody asks, who is this woman? The answer is, She's the daughter of a prophet or a supposed prophet who's really, really influential in QAnon circles. So she is really well known in QAnon circles, basically. That's the answer to that question.
And it felt like he was using that to his end. Our mistakes here in America and in the West, he's taking and highlighting, using against us. And it's a propaganda tactic. It's typical Soviet is what he is.
Okay, let me just step back on this and listen one more time, because this sounds relevant and important.
And that he's quoting from the Bible. And
really?
It felt blasphemous to me. It didn't feel...
Talking about Putin, I think, giving a speech. He's quoting from the Bible. It felt blasphemous.
Genuine. It didn't feel like from the heart. And it felt like he was using that to his end.
Oh, totally. Putin uses the Bible to his own ends all the time. So does Trump. He cynically uses it and its followers and adherents to gain more power. Absolutely.
So our mistakes here in America and in the West, he's taking and highlighting, using against us. And it's a propaganda tactic. It's typical Soviet is what he is.
Yeah.
He's typical Soviet. Wow. That was kind of a little bit offensive, honestly. You know, there are plenty of good Soviets out there. Jesus Christ, dude. That's kind of messed up. And there are also lots of bad Americans out there.
And he just has lots of power. So I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
My feeling has been very, just a sick feeling when it comes to Vladimir Putin. So I must warn people. And it's not just him, it's Russia too. My dad at another time saw Russia extending a hand. And my dad again was quite angry and said, Russia is not your friend. And
that's super fascinating because Russia is so loved and influential in QAnon circles. I'm actually really surprised that she's saying this stuff.
If you take that hand, it's going to turn and chop your head off or something like that.
Yeah.
Find it because it was one of his from the gardens. But, you know, it was definitely warning. And so it's quite incredible that he nailed it.
Yeah.
As far as seeing all of these places, but it's not just, oh, well, that's amazing. This is a guide. God's showing us, okay, this is the time we're in, and there's so much more to what God was doing. My dad didn't know this. My dad.
I mean, that's the thing. Even in his anger, of course, we don't know the detail that he saw, but even in his anger, he was being prophetic because he may not have even known why he was so angry, but he knew that, you know, the anger of the Lord came on him, and he prophesied against these countries, and that in itself is actually good news because he's saying you will not succeed, and you will, you know, which I love.
And one thing I also don't want to forget to mention is that he said in the prophecy, God says, as they creep nearer, I will expose them and destroy them beneath the sea, on top of the sea, on the land, and in the air, says the Lord.
So that's kind of a reference to a military thing. He's going to destroy the militaries, I assume, is what Kim Clement was getting at when he said that. Because those are the 4 types of militaries, land, sea, air, and what was the other one? I don't even remember now. You know, the Navy, the Army, the Air Force.
So they will be exposed and defeated. However, we must then expect, because we haven't seen this, for them to be creeping nearer. And I think that's what is happening right now, below, above the land and the air. And so we're seeing Chinese balloons and aliens, which are demons. And we are seeing...
there's submarines that are hiding. I'm convinced, and Barry Wunsch had a word about that there were.
Barry Wunsch is another supposed prophet of God that Steve Schultz has on his show pretty often, actually.
They were hiding beneath these, like underwater overhanging cliffs, and they were hiding in there, and they were close to us. So you wouldn't necessarily have heard that, but I absolutely believe in God's got his eyes on those submarines, you know.
And so now we need to pay attention, and this is how we pray now. This is a prayer point now.
Yes.
So God warned us. I do believe this is the time. I really feel so strongly about this because I could hear. I went and found that video because I could hear the echo of my dad's voice shouting, you know nothing, you know nothing. And we do feel like that right now. Even our own generals are just, there's so much incompetence.
Oh my God. There isn't actually. United States generals, the United States military is not incompetent. It is a deeply impressive military. It should be, honestly, for the money that we spend on it. But the reason that these people are like obsessed with the idea that like there's mass incompetence in the U.S. military is because General Kelly kind of made a spectacle of himself when he said he wanted to understand what, you know, white guilt was and, you know, white grievance and stuff. He wanted to understand CRT, wanted to understand race politics because, you know, as part of his job, like that's his job is understanding these things so he can prepare for, you know, contingencies in the military and stuff. And aside from that, he also said diversity is our strength in the military. They need diversity. He basically, being a Republican, he's a Republican. He didn't fall into the standard Republican talking points, and they demonized him terribly for it. He was one of Trump's chiefs or joint. He was one of the Joint Chiefs of Staff or something. I don't remember. He was as high up in the military as it gets, honestly.
And deception that you know, God is going to intervene, and I believe that there is a more than a revival, a revolution coming. Franklin Graham just released that, and my father prophesied it, and he prophesies it and uses the word Jesus revolution and is jumping up and down and singing and shouting. So go and watch that video, please, on our YouTube channel, Kim Clement YouTube channel. Go and watch it, or Rumble as well. It's on Rumble as well.
Wow, yeah, and you know, there was one.
Wow, that's really interesting. She has a YouTube channel, huh? Kim Clement YouTube channel. I have to check that out. Most of these people have left YouTube behind long and long ago, naturally, because they say so much messed up stuff constantly that they absolutely refuse to like respect the YouTube terms of service, and YouTube kicks them off inevitably. So I'm surprised that she still has a YouTube channel at this point.
One point where your dad said, you know nothing, and then I think he was talking about us, and he said, then he said, and he shouted, "You're not supposed to know." You know what I'm talking about? And I think he was talking about us that think we had to know all the things, and he's basically saying, "I'm hiding this from you. You're not supposed to know."
Because part of God taking care of this is us not knowing everything.
Just absurd, dude. Everything about this is absurd.
And trusting him no matter what, you know, and that's why
faith. Yeah, because he wants us to have faith. Build your faith.
Why? Why should we have faith? Why doesn't he just tell us? I don't understand. Why is believing something with no evidence a virtue? That's fucking stupid to me, not a virtue. You're a fool if you believe things with no evidence like that. That's what it seems like to me, anyway. I don't know. Just absurd.
Why
relationship with him? That's what he wants out of this.
That's why the anger is, why don't you? He's like shouting. It's as if he's saying, "Why don't you trust me? Stop being afraid." Right? It's kind of like that. So.
That is exactly right.
So
just absurd. I can't stand it. These people are so gullible to believe that like this guy is like a prophet of God or whatever. Like, come on.
Good. Well, Danae, I know you have another show you got to get to, so we're cutting that a little bit short. But thank you so much, very, very, very much. But it's always intensely good. And this was a little more serious, but it was, frankly, I am encouraged.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I'm not just saying that to make some sort of point. I'm actually encouraged because God is saying, "I knew this. I see this. I see what you're doing. You're not going to succeed." That's what I'm hearing out of it. So, but we pray. We must pray.
Me too, and I'm certainly not afraid now.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not afraid. I'm laughing at the devil because he thinks he's got his little plans and schemes.
Yeah.
And so I'm just grateful that we serve a mighty God, because
this is just embarrassing.
He has shown to me in my life to be incredible, and I love him.
So good, so faithful. Tell people,
everybody, to have that relationship with him.
Tell people, Danae. Go ahead. I was going to have you tell people how to get a hold of anything of your stuff. So go ahead.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Is yes, please come to the houseofdestiny.org. Now we have created our own network. Now I didn't create it; my mom and dad did. And they were.
And that makes it special because Kim Clement was supposedly a prophet of God who had special insight into blah, blah, blah. All nonsense. She's using her dad's reputation to build her own brand and make more money, which, I don't know, when you're scamming people out of money like that, I have a problem with it, okay? When you are suckering people out of everything that they own, it's kind of fucking disgusting. I don't have a problem with a daughter following in their dad's footsteps and or trying to continue the work that he did or whatever. That's fine. But that's not what's happening here. She's scamming people, and she's using her dad's reputation to do it. Of course, he scammed people too, so it's not like she's destroying some, special reputation that used to be there that isn't now. She's terrible. He was terrible at the time too. This whole thing is absolutely disgusting. But I don't know. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. It's actually pretty interesting to me. Quick reminder, don't forget to check out my website, owenmorgan.com. I would appreciate that very much. Just go to my website. When you go there, a little pop-up appears, says, subscribe to my email list right here. Just give me your name. It's optional. And give me your email address. And you will get access to early, complete, some ad-free videos every single week. You can also check out the website itself for some of this stuff, like if you want access to ad-free videos or whatever. And it's, it's an aggregator. So you can look at all videos released the week of February 26th. Just click that in the sidebar there. You can look at all of my main channel's videos. March 5th, the week of March 5th, it lists every video released for that week that's up here so far. So go to my website, sign up for my newsletter, and access early stuff that's ad-free. Pretty useful.